Hello again, it's me, Bob Cooper, back with another one of my amazing Mercedes Vario repair videos. And not done many this year, for this year being 2023. That's because I've actually been out enjoying the van, been out in it, and been away for quite a few nights. It's been reliable, they're reliable vans. It's been fine, I haven't needed to make anything. But I've always said, I do this. I've always said I wasn't happy with the brakes on my one. You know, I know they could be better. They passed an MOT okay, and the air brake's fine. It all works, but they're not as sharp as they could be. So in this video, I should be reconditioning the brakes. Now, I'm not the first to do this, and I'm not claiming to be better than anyone else. All I'm saying is this is the way I did it. I'll find some things along the way, and I'll show you what parts that we need to change, and some of the difficulties that may come with doing that if you're a DIYer like me. So stay tuned. Well, I say stay tuned. To be honest with you, I don't really mind. If you want to fast forward to the bits that are interesting, that's fine. I don't monetize anything or claim any fame or notoriety out of doing this. I do it just for the Vario community, people like myself who would just like to know how to do things a different way or do things the right way. First things first, we've got it up on axle stands, make it nice and safe, and take the wheels off. First obstacle is this nut here, this hubcap. That's 60mm. There's a 60mm socket required for that. I don't have one right now, so I'm going to see where I can get one from. Looking at our brakes here, we're going to start with the front. As you can see, you know, it's not hideously bad, this disc. It's got a bit of crud and rust on it, but I've literally just come back from 300 or 400 miles on these brakes, and you can see that's not really being that efficient. Maybe the outer edge there is a little bit shiny on the inside. You know, it's not had a chance to go rusty, so it's completely, you can see it's inefficient. Plus, I know one of these front discs is a little bit warped, so we're going to change that anyway. As you can see, the pads aren't too bad, but like I say, I'm not 100% certain about these calipers, so we'll have those, have a look at those, have those apart. We'll have a look at those as well. So first things first, let's have this caliper apart, let's have it off. Let's have these brake pads out here, also a little retaining clip here. We'll let the hose go. I've already clamped it off with a hose clamp up here. It looks like, let's have a bit of a focus here, those two bolts there, these two just here up the top, and there are two more corresponding underneath. Should have that caliper clean off. So we've got our brake pads out. They didn't come out without a fight, actually. The pistons here, they actually feel pretty seized up, so we'll take a look at those. But I'm happy that the actual piston, the caliper, is sliding nicely, you know, in its casing there. That's quite good. In its carriage, that's quite good. We're going to take off these brake pipes as well. Now be careful when you take these off. What I want to do is change these hoses for better ones. I don't know when they were last changed, but I'm the type of guy who likes to change these things. We're going to take these brake pipes off, and they, sorry for the focus on this thing, they can be a bit tricky sometimes, so just be careful as you undo them that you don't twist the pipe, snap the pipe off. If they're a little bit rusty, you know, especially in WD-40, and take your time with them, otherwise you have to replace them. Tricky one on the Vario that I've just noticed is at the other end up here, behind there is the metal pipe, and it's a horrible little thing. I can't even see it. I can't see it about with this camera, so just be really careful when you undo that one to take this pipe off. Because you do not want to twist and snap these pipes. I wouldn't fancy changing that when it disappears off through the side of the bodywork there. It looks like a nasty, oh actually it's not rusty, this one, so just pay attention to that a little bit. Be careful when you undo it. So I'll come back to you with either good news or bad news. So I've got to decide what to do with these calipers. I can either buy reconditioned ones, or not, God forbid, buy new ones, or I can try and recondition them myself. Now I strongly recommend that you get yours reconditioned if you're not confident about renewing these. Are actually not that difficult to do. To put new seals and new pistons in there. The thing I need to do is take them apart and just see what they're like. If they're too shot, then it's not worth doing. So if you've got, where are we? I'm trying to show this one is slides okay. Like I said, it's not too bad. I can't do it one now. There you go. So my carriage is sliding okay, and the pins that it runs on kind of run through the middle here. And to get to them, you take off these caps. These are like caps. It's a 7mm Allen key, fits in there and in there, which is fingered focus. It's really annoying. And underneath that, there's a 10mm kind of bolt that runs all the way through back to the carriage there that holds it on. You just undo that, and then the carriage will come out, and then you can get to it all from there. But right now, what I'm going to do is pop out the pistons in here and just see. And we're going to see how bad they are. So there we go, I'm going to pop both of those out. As you can see, that's no good. The news isn't good. I mean, that's rusty around there. Some of that's just crud that will come off but there is actually pitting in here as well, like where my thumb is there. That's not good. So we kind of that they need renewing, and it's time to look at the scour the web to see if it's cheaper to buy new pistons and seals, or just get a reconditioned caliper. I'll let you know how that goes. This one actually was really stiff to come out. It didn't want to come out in the end. It's a little bit cruddy, and the side there, just general wear and tear. You know, it's like 20 years old, so it's sorry, I didn't actually show you how I pop them out, do I? I use an airline. So lock off the bleed nipple here, stick an airline in the actual pipe in that hole there, clamp off one of the pistons, and just a little puff of air just to get it moving. These weren't seized; they're both loose coming out. So you push them out a little bit with the airline, little puff. Don't take a lot. Please don't put your fingers behind it when you do it, because I'll tell you now from experience it hurts if you try to hold them. So yeah, pop them out and then you can have an inspection of them. I'll show you how to get the carriage off. So this little rub screw here, unscrew that's a 7mm, it's a little 7mm hex screw. They can be a bit tricky. I had to muller one of them to get them out, and then behind that, might be able to see it, is a 10mm. I think it's a 10mm hex socket. Oops, where are you? Come back here. Little 10mm hex thing there. I must have used a camera, you know. Stick it in there and loosen them off. They're quite tight actually. Got the wrong way. Hang on. they are quite tight. I've pre-loosened this one to save me grunting and looking embarrassed, but undo that and then the carriage will come off from the caliper. So once you've got your bolts undone, you can take off the carriage itself, or I'll call it a carriage, a bogey, call it what you like, and you can get to the two poorly focused bolts there. There we go. Then slide off the rubber cover from the top. So from the top of this little slidey gator thing here, and I'll do it like that now, and then that whole thing, as you can see, slides out nicely, and that's the carriage that the slider thing goes up and down. Looks a bit grubby, doesn't it? It's probably dirty in there. So once that's out, you can take out the bolt. Bolt comes out separately, and then pull off the rubber cover, and then throw that over your shoulder. Get a new one. So once you've done that, you're going to take all the rubber seals out of it. This is the dust cover that goes on top of the caliper piston there. They're probably stuck in. This one is. So just wrench them out. So I'm going to get some new ones for that. You don't want to come out these ones. Pop them out. There you go. That one comes out. I don't know if they're glued in or they're rusted in there, but you can see it's full of crud and nastiness there. Inside there, I'll show you. You've got another rubber seal. That little seal in there. Just get a pointy screwdriver to keep you in focus. Probably can't, and then just prise it out. There you go, just going to prise that out, and it comes out with this little groove, and that's literally all it is in there. Like I said before, you know, you're going to check for wear, grooves, cuts, scores, things inside these boards. If there's any rusty or if there's any damage to that, a little tiny bit there, but I'll live with that. Then you know they've had it, but this is quite clean. Quite surprising really, because they've done so many miles that you know, haven't worn at all. Okay, so carry on cleaning the whole thing up, and I mean clean it up, and come back to you after that. So weapons of choice then, how are you going to clean this up? The key factor here, if you're going to recondition your own calipers, the key factor is cleanliness. You must absolutely keep this spotless. It wants to be clinically clean. You don't want any crud, grit, anything in these grooves, anything in there that's going to cause a score or cause hydraulic fluid to leak. And I can't emphasize that enough. Be really, really clean with it. I mean, first thing I'm going to do is go over it with wire brushes and things. I've got an array of like my angle grinder with wire brush on it here. I've got a drill with various bits I put on the end, a wire brush there, an angle grinder there. And your PPE, make sure you're wearing PPE with this. You don't want to start breathing in whatever's coming off of that as you're grinding it away. And it's also, I protect my ears, even though I'm deaf anyway. Also, you know, you're going to need an airline. If you don't have a compressor and an airline as I do, you know, please don't bother with it, because you're not going to be able to get it clean enough. And finally, the stuff to use is brake cleaner, brake parts cleaner. It's not only for brake parts, but it's really good at keeping things clean. And you're going to go over and over and over this to keep this absolutely spotless. Right, then there we are, all nicely cleaned up. Didn't come up too bad, did they really? Not too bad at all, you know. It's a little bit grubby. I'll probably give them a lick of paint. So just waiting now for my parts to arrive. One question you're probably asking is, how do I know that they were girling? It's upside down, but you can just about see it there. This writing here, girling. I was also known as Lucas girling, so I guess they're the same thing. So the key, actually, well, I've got hold of one. These pistons here, 60 by 63. Now a different version is 60 by 67. That's the ATE version. which I quickly learned whilst I was on Autodoc's pages. So make sure you get the right one. I didn't know if I got the wrong one. Right, so then, like I said earlier, 60mm socket for this, or you can use a spanner, whatever you want to use to get this off. Right hand thread. It's a right hand thread both sides. I've loosened it obviously to make it a bit easier. Comes off easy enough, it wasn't too tight. And inside there you've got like a pinch bolt affair, which is unusual, I've not seen that before. Unusual looking thing. That's a 6mm Allen key. Head goes in here. Loosen it off, and then spin that out. Again, it's not too tight. It comes off quite easy actually. I can't do it with one hand. And then just pop your hub off. It will slide off. The whole assembly will slide off of here, and you can get it on the bench. So there we are then, that's got it all to pieces. I've got an array of parts here that I now need to reassemble, but just look at these discs. Look at the discs on this. These have just done sort of 400 or 500 miles, if not 1,000 miles this year driving those. They've not had time to go rusty, but you can see they're just not working. They're just not being brake discs. The shine on those is useless, it's dull, and I don't think the brake pressure's been up. I don't think the pads have been pushing this hard enough. And I've got a theory as to why that might be. I've got a theory that it might be the rear brake compensator, which I know, the brake balancer that goes under the back axle, I know that's incorrectly adjusted, and I'm wondering if it's taking pressure from the front brakes, put it onto the rear brakes, which are equally knackered, and causing me this issue here. Shouldn't really happen ever, really. You know, I mean, it was stopping okay, but look at the state of it. You know, it's really bad. That's not acting as a disc at all. So good news is, when I put it all back together, I should have some nice brakes that work better. Okay, let's wait till the parts come and we'll put it all back together. So whilst you've got everything off, the hub's off, everything stripped back, it's a good opportunity to give your kingpins a bit of a grease. It's something we should do. There's not many grease points on the Vario, don't put many grease nipples on them, but these kingpins, kingpin runs through here, and that's what the stub axle pivots on. And it's just a great big metal shaft runs through it. You don't want that to wear out because it's going to cost you arm and leg to get that fixed. 2 grease nipples, one at the bottom under here, one at the top up here. Now I'm the sort of guy who's a bit OCD, and I actually had some spare grease nipples, so just for greasing these greases, I put new nipples on there. They're not expensive, worth doing because sometimes they block up. So literally just take your grease nipple. I'll do the top one first. Here's my grunting. Grease nipple on the top one. Just pump it full of grease until it starts to ooze. Out the top there. You've got nice clean grease coming out the top section there, as you can probably, hopefully you can see. The camera picks it up. We'll wipe that off in a second. And the same goes for the bottom. Right, just sort of try and get underneath there. On the bottom one. And when you put new nipples on, it does make it grease a little bit easier. I don't know if you can see it, but it makes that satisfying oozing noise. I don't know how often you should do this. I'm going to put a bit more in that one because I like the colour of that. Nasty old colour in it. There's old grease in there. Let's pump it through. Get some nice new grease in there. There you go. It's going to be better now. I don't know how often you're supposed to do it, but I do it whenever I'm underneath it. I've got the wheels off, or I can see them. It doesn't hurt. Also, I like to take off the excess blob that comes out everywhere. Just wipe it a little bit clean, just so you haven't got grease flying around. It's too bit close to the brake. Nasty old colour, wasn't it? And that should make them last, well, hopefully a lot longer. Certainly longer than if you didn't do it. There you go, little wipe, keep it clean. And that will do for that. So you slid your hub back on again, you've pushed it on nice and cleanly, jiggle it on there nicely, put the outer bearing in, and you've used the lock nut here to tighten up the bearing. So how do you adjust these? I'll tell you my way. If it's a factory way, not the factory way, I apologise. Great big spanner on here. When you lock them off, just leave it a little bit looser. It's a little bit loose. When you tighten them up, I like to tighten them up to sort of elbow torque wrench. Tighten this about there, so you just feel you can just feel it going a little bit tight. Obviously that's way too tight. Then back it off until it just starts to slacken off, just so it's not, you know, it's just nipping on there like that. Not too much pressure, because this is an old bearing. If you put a new bearing on, you do it a little bit tighter and recheck it after 100 miles or so. So that's what I like to do, just nip it off there, give it a spin. That feels nice and firm. Just jiggle it, make sure it's not too loose there. And then with the 6mm Allen key, I'm going to lock off that lock nut. I'll get it in there, it's a little bit tight, there you go. Just to be sure that it's going to stay there. Now what I'll do is I will put the wheel back on. I may even run it for a little while, you know, so many miles. I'll put the wheel back on, give it a good spin, and I'll just recheck the tightness of that a little bit later on, just to make sure it's okay. But that'll be fine. That's okay. So there the seals are in. You can see a good smear of rubber grease. Don't get too bad of it. A little bit of rubbish around these dust covers and the seal itself, which lies inside there. Probably can't see it in this light. So yeah, nice good fit, nice and clean. As I'm always saying, clean out your new pistons. Make sure they're quite clean as well. Now, I said earlier you need an airline to do this. You're going to use no tools whatsoever to put these in. The tricky thing you're going to find is when you put the new pistons, which I've not cleaned one up yet, but when you put these new pistons back in the holes here, you're going to have a hell of a job getting this dust seal on. There is a knack to it. There is a way to do it, and that's demonstrated by Autodoc, who sold me all the parts for this. Again, I'm not sponsored by anybody, but Autodoc have a video on their website which explains and shows a really good, neat trick on how to get these dust seals on without using a screwdriver. Please don't use a screwdriver or any metal object to try and prise these on, because you're going to puncture it and you'll be wasting your whole time. So I'll put a link to that little video now, and follow that, and exactly what I'm going to do to put these seals back on nicely. But I emphasise, if you haven't got an airline, if you haven't got a compressor, don't bother doing it. You don't want to do it. It's going to be very, very difficult to put these on otherwise. There you go then. So back together, the carriage is back on, the sliding part. Make sure you've got that's nice and clear. You can see I put new, whoops, you can see I put new seals. Hope you can. There they are. New seals down there, new dust covers. Make sure there's plenty of grease in these sliders as well, so they don't seize up. And make me put the cap back on. I'll give you the torque wrench setting for these in a bit when I do the torque wrenches for everything else. Torque wrench settings then. So caliper to hub. So these are the four 18mm head bolts on the back of the caliper carrier to the hub stub axle. That's 115 Newton meters. The carrier, so the carrier bolts that run through the middle that we spoke about before, 110 Newton meters. That's how tight they have to go. Use a bit of Loctite. Whoops, there you go. Use a little bit of Loctite on there, just make sure I'm not coming undone again. And it's quite important that you get those at the right torque. We've also gone for a set of brake pads. We've gone for Bosch brake pads. I don't believe in buying cheap brake pads, so they weren't too bad. They're not that expensive, the Bosch ones. So Bosch brake pads. A new set of pad sensors, so that when and a nice shiny new pad retaining clip. The set there, they come in a pack of 2. So yeah, we'll put those on too. Right, and there we are, all done, nice and shiny. Looks nice, doesn't it? All nice and torqued up. Everything is. Should one correction. These bolts here, they should be 135 on the front. So they're 135 Newton meters. That's what it should be. So just got to bleed this up and move on to the rears. So because I waffle on so much, and that video went on longer than I expected, we're going to call that part 1, I think. I'm halfway through doing part 2, which is the rear brakes, along with one or two other things. So if you want to see those, just hang around for a bit and I'll post that just as soon as I'm done. Thanks for watching this one.